because I do 1,300 crunches and sit-ups 4 times a week.
What's a dose? Can you translate for us?
Winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Ernie Els.
How's it, everyone? Teabag here. This is episode 36 of the Goat Track, the podcast about golf and golf-adjacent stuff, mostly from Africa. What a time to be a sports fan in South Africa. Guys, I took a break this week. I've handed the reins over to JDV, who sat down with the latest member of the Goat Track, that is Tucky Tatham. And I actually have no idea what they talked about. I'm kind of excited to listen to it. I'm recording this before I've listened to it, so very excited to hear about all about Tucky. We felt like we needed to do a full introduction for our listeners. Most of you know a little bit about myself, JDV, and Hoff, having listened for 35 episodes. Guys, before I hand over to JDV, just 2 quick things. Firstly, a reminder that we have a collaboration with Wonderpar, the golf app that rewards you for just playing golf. Please check it out if you aren't using it yet. I don't know what you're doing. Guys, Wonderpar have just added the ability to purchase pre-played clubs on their shop, which essentially means you can play golf, earn vouchers, and save those up towards buying some pre-played clubs. I don't know, maybe you've lost a club, maybe a club ended up in a lake, who knows? But that's a great little offering that they have now. So yeah, Wonderpar, set foot on any golf course and watch your wallet grow. Guys, secondly, it would really help us out a lot if you spread the word of the Goat Track and forward it on to friends and family and your golfing schools and your networks. The other thing that would really help us out is if you went onto Spotify and onto Apple Podcasts and you left a review and you gave us a rating, a star rating. That just helps get the podcast wheels moving. Without further ado, over to JDV and Tucky.
Hello, Tucky. I imagine Teabag will be doing the Welcome to the Goat Track, the podcast about golf and golf adjacent things. But if he doesn't, T, you can just edit that little bit out and stick it at the front. Tucky, welcome.
JDV, thank you very much. Your that introduction was actually very good. I think Teabag should be a little bit concerned about his future going forward as the lead host of the Goat Track.
Yes, as well. You should have seen when you gave me the reins for the top 100. I did an agenda for that one that's probably better than any agenda I've done in my entire career. It even had like a watermark of the Goat Track behind it, and yeah, I think he saw that there was a target on his back. But Tucky, we've got you today as our interview. So the discussion was we obviously know that you're involved in sports and sports media in South Africa and an avid golfer at that. So the idea today is to put you on the hot seat. It's been a while since I've cross-examined anyone, so it will be good to flex the cross-examination muscles again. But Tucky, thanks for coming through. We set up here in person, which always makes these a lot easier. I'm looking forward to getting your takes on the sort of golf landscape in South Africa and in KZN, and some of the stories from you about where your golfing chops came from and where they're going.
Yeah, those golfing chops, they're pretty raw chops, if I'm honest. They look. Golf has been a steady sort of part of my life. It's always been there since I was very young. I was fortunate that my old man was a member at Boschhoek for many years, so we spent a lot of time going up there, sort of just buggering around on the fairways and on that sort of 9th green there. And
you always forget Boschhoek is older than it seems. Like for me, I always think of Boschhoek as quite a new course, and I don't know if that was because of the development that took place there, but it does seem like it's had a renaissance of sort. But as you said, I mean, if that's where you sort of grew up playing your golf, it's obviously been around for much longer.
Yeah. Boschhoek was sort of, that was where I sort of cut my teeth, as if for a better term, because I wasn't any good, and I enjoyed it, but I never really pursued it that hard. I was always playing other sports. I was always playing cricket or rugby or hockey or when I was little. So golf sort of just became a thing that I would do when we went up there, because it was a bit of a drive from Hilton up to Boschhoek to go and see my old man play. So like it was where it sort of started for me though. And then, like you in the school holidays, you bug around and you go and play like Howick Golf Club and VCC and Sakabula and all of that.
I don't like how you just sandwich VCC in between Howick and Sakabula.
Oh no, VCC was when you wanted to take things a little bit more seriously. But yeah, I think I've played every single golf course in the sort of Midlands area, from Maritzburg Country Club all the way to Moy River. I think everything's been covered.
So the one course that I've seen that I haven't played is, man, what's that one? It's out by Underberg, not Nutsburg. There's another one out that way. Anyway, it'll come to me. But it's a 9-hole course that was one that I also thought, I was like, yeah, I've played everywhere sort of in the Midlands area. And then there was one that sort of popped up, and I was like, whoa, hang on. haven't played that.
Yeah, I need to get out there. And test it out. But like that's expanding the Midlands area when you're bringing in Underberg and that sort of area. But like, Richmond, Dun, every golf course you can sort of play in the area I've played, not necessarily any well, but it was all part of me growing up. We did spend, you guys, and I'm going to bring it up as well, spent a lot of time down the south coast. So I played Umdoni a lot. Haven't played Selborne nearly as much as I played Umdoni. I think Umdoni was always our first choice when we went down to Pennington. We would much rather play there than head to Selborne.
But Selborne was also pretty exclusive in those sort of early days. I always thought, that and I feel like those two courses have come up to a more level playing field at the moment. I think, if I'm being honest, Selborne might have dropped a notch or two, and Umdoni sort of ratcheted up a notch or two, so that they sort of evened out. Now I'd say they're probably quite comparable, the two courses, in a very good way. And I think it's a bit of a yin and a yang. But yeah, South Coast golf is always top notch. So Tucky, maybe just chat us a bit about your family's involvement. The Tathams were mentioned in the Umdoni deep dive.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know the official sort of relationship between our family and Umdoni Park, but I mentioned before we came on that we've been fortunate enough to have a family house down there for many, many, many years. And I think just through that sort of association, it was one of the first houses in Pennington. So sort of as it stands, I'm about as involved in Umdoni as the rest of the Go Track. So for some reason, we all seem to be riding very hard for Umdoni Park.
Yeah, if there's 3 courses that get a lot of mentions, it's actually 4. I think you can throw Umdoni, Gowrie, VCC, and it's Cotswold Downs. My goodness. So Tucky, your earliest golfing memory, so you say is Boschhoek. When do you think you sort of transition from hacking around and sort of playing around to saying, okay, well, actually, I'm going to try and get my handicap going. I wouldn't say play competitively, because I don't think any of us play super pro level competitive golf. But when you started to take it a bit more seriously,
it was quite late actually. Like at school, it was very much a bugger around thing. Like I actually didn't take golf very seriously at school at all. I said I had other stuff that I was doing. So it was probably sort of when I got to the end of my varsity career, I started playing golf a bit more. And then when I started working...
Grahamstown Country Club.
Oof, yeah. That was... we used to try and make trips out to Fish River rather than play at the Grahamstown Country Club.
So let's quickly just go there. So obviously you went to school at Michaelhouse. You're a very proficient cricketer. I do think that looking back on it, all of us missed the cheat code of playing golf at school. I think about also even at college. I was actually a really terrible golfer in my school days. I think my handicap was about 28 or something. But the fact is, you could still join the golf team and go play golf and I feel like it's an untapped resource.
It's crazy. You could have, you got to go a bus. Like, we used to go and play at Boschhoek. So, because Gowrie wasn't built then when I was still at school. So we used to go through to Boschhoek, and the bus used to take us there. We didn't pay. It used to go on our account. So you didn't have to worry about that. You'd play sort of 9 holes in the afternoon, and then the bus would take you back. I just don't understand why we didn't take advantage of it.
And like how sick it is playing other schools in match play.
Yeah,
at those courses.
Like my class in Hilton played for the Douglas Cup, or they still play for the Douglas Cup, which is and a lot of my mates played for the first side, and it just seemed so cool. But I don't understand, it was just sort of back in my mind at the time.
Yeah, I suppose and those second tier sports. It's either you do cricket, water polo, rugby, and hockey, and then everything after that is what's your second sport? Coming from someone whose first sport was squash, my heart goes out to the avid golfers who trying to train for golf and their seventh rugby match at the same time. But let's move on now to your varsity career. So what you obviously went to Rhodes. Do you want to just run us through what you studied and the takes on the Eastern Cape golf courses around there?
So I made Grahamstown home for 4 years. It didn't end up with much. I left with a BA in English, Politics and History. I didn't stay for postgrad. I went into the working world straight after my 4th year at varsity. I thought that was enough, especially Grahamstown gets a little bit small after 4 years. Talking of the golf courses, look, to be fair, that Grahamstown golf club was horrendous.
Oh, it was so bad. It was, you could lose your ball in the middle of the fairway.
Oh, yeah. It was on the top of the hill, which made no sense. It was as dry as anything. The wind would howl through there. It was just flat. There was not a tree in sight. It was the most bizarre place for a golf course.
Yes, I remember I played there with my stepdad, and he took ages to read this one putt, and I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. Everything is straight and medium pace.
Look, it served a purpose, I guess, at the end of the day. If you wanted to drink and play golf on a Friday afternoon, it definitely served a purpose. But look, you weren't going to get, your handicap wasn't going to come down.
The golf club was a pretty sweet place to have a party, though.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of times, guys, Friday nights were started at the golf club. But I know that there were some good courses around there, which actually, I think of two in particular that I know more really, and the one is Fish River Sun.
Yeah.
And the other was, it was Bushman Sands.
Yes,
remember Bushman
okay.
Sands?
Yeah, I never played it. I do remember, but now they've obviously got the Belmont, so the Grahamstown Golf Club is no longer, and that looks beautiful. I've never played it.
So I played the Belmont once. It's epic. It's tight. It's quirky.
Quite short.
It's quite short, but very narrow. It's actually, it's a good test. The greens are lacquer. I'd love to go back there. The other one is Port Alfred. I mean, that was another one that you go and play. That's also quite a cool,
very nice,
quirky layout. So Tucky, then you finish your 4 years at Rhodes, and you enter the working world. Run us through that and how that got you into sports media in general.
So I left Where the Leaders Learn in end of 2012 was my last year at varsity, and then it was pretty strange. I sort of was scrolling Twitter during the holiday. I didn't really have a job, anything lined up, and an opportunity at Rugby 365 came up, and I sort of applied, and I got an internship at Rugby 365. So I shipped myself off to Cape Town for sort of 5 or 6 months to do that, and so I really, really enjoyed that, working in rugby and sort of cutting my teeth as a bit of a writer and getting into sort of mainstream sports. And then, that was sort of coming to an end, and I wasn't really getting an offer for a permanent gig, so I was looking around, and then I actually met up with Dave McLeod in Cape Town, and he was down for the Berg River Canoe Marathon, and he had a business up in Durban called Game Plan Media, and he was looking for someone, and I said, well, that's lekker, I'm quite keen to head back home. And so I joined there in sort of August of 2013, and then I was actually with Game Plan Media until September last year. So it was a really good run. I learned so much, not necessarily just from a media and PR perspective, but from a an announcing perspective, an emceeing perspective, a whole bunch of other stuff that we did together with Dave, and then had another guy that was with us, Carl Gillum. He left, and then Dave, not obviously, but Dave immigrated to Canada and sold the business, and then I worked with the guy who bought the business for a bit, and then I started on my own.
And whereabouts? And then ECR, your gig at ECR as a sports presenter, is that?
Oh, flip! Yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, that was like probably 2018. 2018, I was just sort of around. Myron Nika was one of the sports presenters, and he said to me, "Is like, well, just send a demo in." So I sat in the parking lot at the Moses Mabhida Stadium and voiced a demo and sent it through to the programming manager, and he said, "Well, cool. Can you start on weekends?" So that was tough. I started weekend afternoons, so it was Saturday, Sunday afternoons, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30 bulletins in the evening, Saturday, Sunday, and then after about, thank goodness that didn't last very long. After about 4 months, I actually went to weekend breakfast, which was quite lekker, with Jane Linley Thomas. So that was a little bit of so much nicer than having to drive to Mshlanga.
Well, also because everyone's planning things on the afternoons and weekends. And I suppose that was like peak wedding season time as well. So you're like, sorry, Alex, I basically just can't come to any of these weddings.
Yeah, it's like I don't get paid if I don't work, freelancing. So like it was... luckily, I didn't do that for that long. And then I was on the breakfast show, the weekend breakfast with Jane, and then COVID hit, boom, and I was sort of going, like our business, because we're very much event based, and events were cancelled and nothing was happening, and we were luckily being dragged through by a few like retainer clients. And then I got a phone call from Gareth Jenkinson, shout out G-Dog. He was moving to... Where's he? The Netherlands. Yeah. He was moving to the Netherlands. His wife had got a good job there. And he said, well, you must apply for the job. So I was like, flip. So fortunately, 6 months into lockdown, I started on the drive show at East Coast Radio. And I've been there ever since.
Did you guys get emergency employee status to go to the studio?
No, we were fortunate. We just worked from home for the first 2 months. Well, I did. They were in the studio. But they both lived in, Stacey and Jason both lived in Mshlanga, so they were right there. I was going to have to drive.
Get stopped in that police stop. So sorry, I'm a frontline worker. Got to get the sports bulletin.
People have got to hear me. I've got to give people the sports news. There was nothing happening, but I've got to give them the sports news.
They need to know what's happening in the Screen Golf League and the esports. The esports. So Tucky, I mean, you obviously that role that you play and the companies that you have, you've rubbed shoulders with some pretty big sports personalities, and I know you've had the opportunity to go to Zimbabwe Lakes and chat to Ernie Els and crew. What are some of the big golfing sports takeaways that you've been involved with and that you've had?
It was interesting. So like during the lockdown. We were just trying to find stuff to use on air. And I ended up chatting to Justin Walters quite a bit. And I ended up interviewing him. And it was really lekker. I think he had won a few times on the DP World Tour before that. They're sort of 2019, I think.
But he went through a big peak and then a massive trough.
It was just after the peak that I got chatting with him, and I just spoke to him in general about golf, and so I used quite a lot of his stuff over a few weeks, which was really interesting to sort of get a professional's sort of insight, especially into a time when no one knew what was happening. He was based in the States at that stage, I think, or he's probably in Europe, and now I think he's based in the States. But these guys whose job was to fly around the world and play golf, now they couldn't go anywhere. And they were sort of stuck on their simulators and that sort of thing. And it was interesting to sort of get his perspective. Very, very, very lekker, down to earth sort of guy. And it actually, that was a bit of a highlight for me. During that time, I chatted to Robbie Koenig quite a lot as well from a tennis perspective as a commentator. Sort of what he was doing. He was commentating off his TV at home almost. So like it was really interesting to get a bit of insight into what was going on at that stage.
Well, who was it? I think it was a soccer commentator that was posting videos where he was commentating on his dogs. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Andrew Cotter. Yeah, when his two Labradors. He wrote a book about that in the end.
Oh, that was brilliant. I used to look for. Remember, I think the one lab had a ball, and he's like, she's just trying to keep it away for the last minute, running down the clock.
It was bizarre, like what people did during that time. But
it's a weird time.
Yeah, like from a golf perspective though, like meeting Ernie was definitely like a massive highlight. Like such a nice person, like someone that just oozes like just personality and just approachability almost, like you feel like you could go up to him and like have an hour-long conversation with him. Everyone. He doesn't have time for you guys, but like just such a nice guy to meet, and even if we hardly spoke, but like just to sort of be like, geez, I met Ernie Els, like a Hall of Famer, like South Africa's best golfer, arguably.
Yeah, look, it's going to be there's another man who gets mentioned in every Goat Track pod that we do, Mr. Gary Player, who might disagree with you there, and then would say no one's keeping count, but would run off his record for you. But okay, so obviously, I mean, you also got to play the media day and the announcement that Durban Country Club was going to be hosting the SA Open coming up. Do you want to maybe just run us through that and maybe just run us through the round there, Tucky, because it looked like it was a long day out. Yeah, you don't have to take us through every shot because I don't think we got 120 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think we have enough time. But it was very cool. So the SA Open, I think we've announced it, is coming back to Durban in end of Feb, beginning of March. It's going to be interesting because the conditions that we played in last 2 weeks ago will be very different to what they're going to be playing in February.
Well, I hope they get some conditions in Feb.
But
it's yeah.
We had an absolute buster blowing through. We played off the back tees. I don't know why they played us off the back tees. I think they were like, let's give these guys a real experience as to what the professionals, excuse me, are going to experience. And I've never played off the back tees at Country Club ever, and they haven't played the new layout. Well, yeah, and it was just an absolute nightmare.
The thing is, if you want to get experience what the professionals experience, and they must also experience what we experience. So we must get them to play left-handed or something like that to make it completely fair.
Yeah, I agree. And it went from bad to worse to okay to bad to terrible. That was basically the 4 stages of my round. My caddy wasn't a huge help. I won't lie. But
it's a rough day when your caddy's not even able to pull you through the dark times.
Old Boise couldn't get me through.
You were saying that he was reading some of your putts, and you said just have a look and explain this to me exactly why you think that's a read.
So Boise's a caddy at Beechwood, and they didn't have enough caddies for the day, so they roped him in. And I'm no caddy, I'm no green reader. But I can tell you, there were a couple of those putts that definitely went left to right when he was telling me they were going right to left.
Yeah, it's not even how many balls. It's just like which direction.
That was exactly it.
So, Tucky, let's do a couple of quick fire questions here. Ooh, okay. We're going to start with a relatively easy one. What's your favorite golf course in South Africa?
Okay, it's going to sound unbelievably biased, but I do love it. I love Cotswold Downs. I do. I really do.
Well, let's get your potential conflict of interest out the way then early. Yeah, like Ozzy would say after answering every question about DCC, like just I am a member before I comment on this. So you are the ambassador for Cotswold Golf. How did that come about, and what does that entail? Yeah,
so I've become the A ambassador. I know that Sean Pollock is another ambassador, but he's far more high profile. So it just what it entails is basically I am going to be hosting events for them. If they've got any events on, I'll do that in lieu of my golf membership, etc., etc. So like it's a very it's a very loose deal. Mark Renwick, the CEO, and I chatted about it, and he sort of saw an opportunity there for them. And I was like, well, I didn't have a golf club at that stage because I'd left country club, and I was sort of in limbo. And it's matched up quite nicely. We've actually got an event that we're planning for November with a few ex-Springbok rugby players for the England Test match. So hopefully we can give a few more details about that in a few weeks' time. But so that's basically it. I'll be hosting like the club champs and all that sort of stuff. So
Will you be playing in the club champs?
Absolutely.
Nice.
I will definitely be playing in the club champs.
Yeah, there's some long faces that come through there on club champs when those greens get spicy and it's metal. I did take I think an 11 or 12 on 18. I think I 5-putted actually. It was quite rough in front of the clubhouse. But yeah, I mean, lots to look forward to with club champs for you, Tucky. You get to run that gauntlet.
I've played a club champs at Durban Country Club, and that was difficult.
Yeah, so when I was a member there, we played at Beechwood and at Durban Country Club. So you played one day at DCC and then the next day at Beechwood. And yes, I always found that I played nicely at Beechwood, but flip, I could not work out Durban Country. I love Durban Country Club, but yes, it is you've got to put the puzzle pieces together, which I think makes it such a great course.
And they grow that rough up as well, and it gets very difficult.
So Tucky, actually, just while I'm on that, so Durban Country Club, when we played Beechwood, I got into the final 3-ball on the last day in the B-Div, and I was like puffing my chest out, thinking I was going to win this thing. And anyway, get to the stroke. What is it? The fourth hole.
Yeah,
that's stroke one. Right?
Yeah.
So fourth hole, I don't think I got it off the tee box. That's how bad my drive was. I proceeded to make like a 9 or a 10 on that hole, and that was after 2 days of toiling, the end of my club champs. But okay, so you've given me your favorite golf course. What's the best golf course you've played?
Sort of like from a gravitas perspective, the Gary Player Country Club is the best golf course I've played. Like at that stage of my life, I definitely didn't appreciate it as much as I would appreciate it now. I played it many years ago, and like that's what irritates me because I only ever played it once, and like at the time it was, what they say, feeding caviar to pigs. Yeah, so like I definitely didn't take it in or sort of appreciate the course, and because it's an iconic course in this country, and I didn't at the time appreciate that at all because I was hitting the ball off the map, losing golf balls.
Look, it is easy to lose golf balls on that course.
Yeah,
you even slightly wayward, and you did. Okay, so what's the best handicap that you've got to?
I got to. I was actually looking earlier today. I got to 9.9 index.
Nice.
Yeah, that's as low as I've got.
And what's you at the moment?
I think 10.9.
Okay, so you basically two rounds away from being the best ever golfer you've been.
Yeah.
Nice,
I am.
Tucky.
That's it was that handicap came after I shot a 76 at Kloof Country Club.
I thought you were going to say Cotswold, but Kloof.
I'll look. It's a 76. A 76 is a 76.
76 is very, very good.
76 is a 76, and I'll take that. And it was just one of those rounds. I didn't have too many beers. Just had the right amount of beers.
Yeah, it's a tight rope that you walk with that.
And ball was I was just sinking putts from all over.
So those Kloof greens can get really nice.
Yeah.
Obviously they've got some conditioning issues at Kloof, but certainly one thing that they can get really, really good when it gets good is those greens can be proper. Okay, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you on a golf course?
Okay, this is a shout out to two guys that you know. It was at my Bulls party. We were playing at Scottborough Country Club, that fantastic golf course, Scottborough Country Club. I was actually forced to stand on the back of a golf cart with Keegan Sloman and Tim Salty Smythe. Shout out. And we were going down. If you've ever played at Scottborough, you know that the 18th, or I don't know if it's the 18th or the 9th, at Scottborough is a mini version of Umdoni. the 18th at Mdoni, like a very mini version.
So you sort of tee off into, or elevated tee box, tee off towards the ocean.
And you've got a very steep hill that you've got to go down on your golf cart. And Scottburgh Country Club's golf carts, I think, were probably the first golf carts ever made.
You got to like crank the wheel at the front to get it started.
And we were going down. I was holding on the back. Sloman was driving. Salty was in the passenger seat. I'm not sure how many beers they'd had. A couple. And there was a sort of a left turn and then a right turn to get down onto the fairway. And we got to the left turn, and Sloman tells us that the brakes aren't working. So, your mind is saying, okay, I've got two options here. I either hold on and we crash and I just take what happens, or I jump off, potentially break a bone at my own balls party, then get home and have to tell my future wife that this has happened. We eventually held on. We all held on, and somehow, an absolute miracle, we managed to make it out the bottom end. It was
what, like rally car driving around those bends?
No, I have no idea how we managed to survive. I think if we had anyone else driving, I'll give Sloman his dues. If we had anyone else driving, there was no chance. But that was the scariest moment, and ultimately possibly one of the funniest moments.
So probably just like huge amounts of relief. Just as we did yesterday, those, on the second at Cotswold.
Yeah.
So it was raining and it gets slippery. We went down there and my golf carts just like took a small turn and the cart just started like spinning down that hill. My brother was trying to jump out. I was like shitting myself. Anyway, like finally, luckily the wheel didn't dig in and got to the bottom. And now I'm like standing by my ball, like adrenaline just pulsating through my veins. I'm like, good Lord, I'm going to hit this.
Yeah, you need some 4x4 tires on those bad boys in those conditions as well.
Shit. Okay, Tucky, give me your ideal golf tour. Like, where is this golf tour? What sort of a vibe is it? Is it super competitive? Is it social? Where are you going?
So my ideal golf tour, there's always going to be a competitive element, but that doesn't like dominate. So I used to go on a golf tour. I used to go on Mum Tour many years ago, and I think I went on two. We went one up to the North Coast, and then we also did the Midlands. And that was really cool because it was competitive, but it wasn't overly competitive. So Oaks would jawl, but then it wouldn't be a case of Oaks jawl too hard that they didn't make their tee times or anything like that. So everyone like jawled within reason. So that's my idea of where you've got to find that balance between competitiveness and actually having a good time, because ultimately you want to go away with mates and have a good time. You don't want it to be like Oaks going to bed at 8 o'clock in the evening saying that I've got to be prepared for the next day, that sort of thing.
But I think the venue sometimes dictates that. So
that's very true.
If you're going to play, goat tracks, then guys are like, oh, well.
They're going to blow out until 4 o'clock in the morning, yeah.
Anyway, because I'm not really that excited to play the course. But if you go and do for instance, a Sun City tour, you might be thinking, okay, well, actually, I don't want to go and get this one experience and ruin it. So I think the venue does play a part in curtailing overindulgence.
Yeah. So I've never played those garden route courses. You would be able to tell me, you were there the other day. But playing Fancourt, Outeniqua, Montague, that would be for me the ultimate golf tour to actually go and focus on the golf and play.
Well, also, if you're staying at the hotel, you probably would run out of money before you.
Yeah. No, look.
Those drinks, I think they would sting you. Bottle of wine. So
but I loved our South Coast tour is always fantastic. It's just because it's such an awesome place to go and tour. The Midlands is also a fantastic place to go and tour. I've done KZN. I've never really been out of province, so I've never done a tour up to Sun City or up to the Highveld or something like that, which could be quite fun. So, but my ultimate golf experience would be sort of the garden route, going down that way, down to the Western Cape.
But there's almost 4 different tours you can take down the garden route.
Yes, that is true.
You could do that. You could base yourself in George, or you could base yourself in Fancourts, and that could be, play those 3 courses. That's a tour. Or you could base yourself in George, play at George Country Club, Kingsborough and Obi, or you base yourself in Knysna and play the ones that we did, Knysna, Samola, Pazula. Pinnacle Point is there. So the nice thing about that garden route is there's like you can go back there 4 years in a row and play four different tours almost. But yeah, I agree. I think the one, and I'm sure we'll dive into it more on further. So interestingly, one to keep in mind, there's a potential Kimberley golf tour which is brewing. So I didn't know that there were three reasonable golf courses
in Kimberley.
in and around Kimberley.
I guess I got the space.
So just hit it over the big hole of Kimberley, the biggest. Just go down and see if you can play a flop shot out of it.
I can't even imagine what I've never been to the Northern Cape. Well, I've driven through it, but I've never been to Kimberley or anything like that. So I would have absolutely no idea. But I can't imagine the terrain is too conducive for golf.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll let that one percolate for a bit for future tours. What are your golf bucket list items? What are your sort of big ticket items that you want to do in golf?
So fan court's always been my big one. Like, I don't know why. It's just like the appeal. I think it's just like the beauty of the area and like
but the links
mountains. The links. Yeah, play the proper one. I also love that when the President's Cup was there. Yeah, that sort of got me I got that sort of, I don't know, that like romanticized idea of it, because like you saw Tiger there, Ernie there, like it was just like the best of the best for me, and that's always been, and that will remain on my bucket list, and that's sort of top of my bucket list. The thing is, like, I love golf, but I don't really have that sort of like burning passion to like go to Augusta or something like that. Like, I don't know whether it would be wasted on me or something like that, or maybe the old course to go to St Andrews and like, because like this time last year we were in Scotland, but we were on the west coast. Did
you get any golf in there while you?
I played in England, but I didn't play in Scotland. My daughter was only a year old.
Oh, that's the easiest. Then you just lug them around.
So like I guess getting to Scotland and playing like proper links golf would be on that bucket list. But like mine is far more sort of locally focused rather than going international.
And in terms of your bucket list or goals, I mean, from a non-course perspective, I mean, getting a hole-in-one or getting down to a specific handicap, or you sort of just going to take it as it comes?
My golf, I don't necessarily play enough golf, so like that would probably be a bucket list thing. I don't know if we could say that, but like I would love to play golf sort of 3 or 4 times a month.
Well, I'm going for 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah. Because like it's just when like work just gets in the way and then things happen and you just all of a sudden you haven't played in like 2 months and you're going, oh shit. So like definitely getting on the course more, whether it's like a Sunday morning or something like that. A hole-in-one would be fantastic. It's not necessarily sort of top of my bucket list, but knowing that my old man got a hole-in-one and he's 74. There's still time.
Leaving it late.
There's still time.
Who is your favorite golfer, past and present?
So currently, with his troubles, Jordan Spieth's my favorite golfer.
Okay.
I don't know why, I've always loved him. Like just the way he plays, the way he goes about his business. Also off the course, he just seems like such a lacquer person.
But he also sort of you get to hear a bit of his toils on the golf course.
Yeah.
I mean, he sort of has his heart in his sleeve, and you sort of experience the ups and downs with him. So I think that's and from an entertainment point of view, I mean, do you have another favorite golfer?
I'm really enjoying Sahith Theegala.
I think he's also very Jordan Spiethish.
He's got it. Yeah, maybe I've got like a type, a type, because like I think I dig him as well. Like he's a sort of guy that you can get behind, but like from a South African perspective, Ernie was obviously number one. I think that's sort of safe to say. Our generation, Ernie Els was the man, and still is the man. And just from like a local perspective, I really enjoy Garrick Higo. Just like I follow him every week. Always try and like follow his results.
So what's happened to him? He came out with a bang and now he seems to have fallen off the
map. He's on the PGA Tour. He's playing. He'll play in like this fall series now, I guess. But yeah, just can't kick on again. He came out of the blocks, won his first start in the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
And then just hasn't been able to replicate that form. I thought that he might have actually gone back to the DP World Tour, because you remember he won 3 times, then went over to the States. But he stayed in America, and I think he's getting to that stage now where his win is coming to an end and he doesn't have his sort of exemption anymore.
Yeah, he's going to have to go back and either play DP again or try and
qualify.
qualify.
Yeah. So, but I enjoy following him. And I always saw him as sort of like that lefty, like really cool swing.
Well, I thought he was going to be like the next big thing for SA golf.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Terence would be saying it's Casey Jarvis, but love to see maybe a shootout between Garrick Higgo and Casey Jarvis. But I mean, talking about that, what are your predictions on sort of SA golf, going forward? Are we going to get a live event? Are we going to get some talent coming through? Are we going to see that talent, or are they, all going to be sort of sucked up by the live golf machine?
Yeah, I don't know. So from a live perspective, I think it does make sense for them to bring an event to South Africa.
I think it's a no-brainer. Only thing I can think is that I don't know if it's TV rights, or I can't understand why there's a South African team in live. It seems like there's a big appeal and there's a need in South Africa for those guys to come and play. I mean, you can imagine a live tour at, I don't know, Sun City would be huge.
Yeah, I think people would go buck wild, because the appeal is, I guess, I don't know whether it's an American appeal, but if it is the same sort of appeal with the South African market, that seems like the sort of place that you would go. But they've gone to Oz, and we've seen how successful it is in Oz. In America, it just hasn't caught on. It just doesn't seem like it's able to sort of just make that sort of breakthrough into sort of like the PGA Tour appeal sort of bracket.
Well, I mean, they're already spoiled for golf in America, and I suppose the appeal of live for places like South Africa and Australia is that you do get to see, the best of the best playing in your country, and a course that you can go play, some other time in the year. But I suppose the downside is that all the money is still really in America.
Yeah.
So they're still going to put all of those events in America so that I suppose they can get the corporate tents up and, the right windows for viewing, etc. So as much as I think we would be pining to see a live event, I wonder if it's just not the economics.
Well, it also depends if we're running out of time, whether this sort of the merger, as they called it, will actually happen. Because you would think that maybe in 2 years' time they would bring one here, because they've got to a stage where the events in the States aren't kicking on.
But do you think the Americans are starting to realize that they do need to take golf a bit more globally? I mean, you look at the likes of JT and Max Homer coming through and playing the Nedbank. And obviously that's got something to do with, this current sort of 4-season golf, not really counting for next season's points, but it does sort of open it up to guys going and playing South Africa or playing in Oz and doing that sort of thing. I mean, maybe they're all waking up to the fact that you actually have to keep the rest of the world happy to stop a big splintering from happening.
Well, I don't know, because you say that, and yes, it is that way, but now you look at the purses and sort of the commercial interest now in the PGA Tour, what they've just, that new deal that they've signed, the PGA Tour's just signed, the money that Scotty Scheffler won this year was just unfathomable. And so they've almost doubled down. It feels like the States have doubled down, and they've said, well, this is the home of golf. This is where you're going to get the most money. This is where the big corporates are. This is where the big corporates are willing to spend the money, is in America. So then they'll say, well, there's no need for us to actually move and take the game globally. We've got our feeder tour, the DP World Tour.
Can you believe that it's become a feeder tour?
It's literally
it is becoming a feeder tour.
So we've got our feeder tour, and that brings the best players across from Europe, so they're not a threat. No one else is actually a threat. Live Golf is not a threat.
Live Golf should 100% have bought the DP World Tour. I mean, for me, that would have been the obvious move.
Yeah.
Or even if there was some way that all of those live golfers were playing regular DP Tour events, and then you get the guys down to Sun City, but yeah, it looked like the DP World Tour obviously aligned themselves with the PGA Tour.
Well, I don't know, because the guys are still playing on the DP World Tour.
But I think those are like Louis playing or Dean playing through a Sunshine Tour membership.
Well, like Tyrrell Hatton played in the British Masters last week. So like the guys are they've still got exemption to play on the DP World Tour if they haven't like revoked their card. Sergio Garcia and all that.
Shout out Sergio.
Shout out. So I think like
Shout out Ian Poulter, wasn't he another one that got...
oh my God, what a knob. So like there's still that door's still open for them, because they play the international series, and then they play Live, and then they play on the Asian Tour. So like you just got to, I guess it just works out where do those events fit into their schedule, if you know what I mean? Like, because like I guess they have to play a certain amount of international series events, certain amount of Asian Tour events in order, like as part of their contracts, to be on Live. So I think I think there's still scope for a discussion there, I think, with the DP World Tour.
Tucky, I think before we wrap up here, I've got one more question for you. Oof. What is the best golf shot you've ever hit?
Oh, JDV.
Terence said I'm lining you up with this one.
Yeah, I've actually got two.
Okay, hit us with both.
Okay. Well, first one was at Mount Edgecombe on the 18th on the woods. I hit my drive left onto the first fairway.
Is that not in-course OB?
No, because I was playing with the club pro at the stage, and he said it's fine. So, is it?
I don't know.
No, I don't think
we might have to go and check. Maybe
this was a long time ago.
Your best golf shot ever is about to actually get you DQ'd.
Well, that's why I got a second one, so it's fine. But then, so with the second shot, I can't remember the guy's name. He was a club pro there at the time. He just said,
Jared Harvey.
I would have known if it was Jared Harvey. Your boy. And he said just hit a wedge onto the green, and I hit a wedge onto the green, and it just went in the hole. I didn't see it go in the hole, just went in the hole.
You sure there wasn't a caddy or someone standing up there, a la Amdoni?
He drove the cart around. And he said, "I can't see your ball." And I was like, "Oh, okay. It must be like off the back or something like that." And he was like, "No, just go look in the hole." And there it was.
Nice.
And then the other one, I was playing in a memorial golf day to Salty's dad at Gowrie, actually. And I left Kloof hungover at about 6:30 for 7:30 tea time. So I was under a lot of pressure getting up there. And I was actually playing with my dad, my mum, and my brother. And got there straight onto the tee box, hit a 4-iron down the middle, very impressive, and then hit a gap wedge, and it just went bounce in the hole. And
it's a nice way to start the round.
Yeah, but it definitely didn't end as well as it started. Things got a bit ropey towards the end. But those are my two best golf moments.
Lekker, Tucky. Any parting thoughts? Anything else that you want to get off your chest that I haven't led you into?
JDV, I just want to take a leaf out of your book somehow, and just find out what the hell you do, or what you feed Kath, or what happens in the De Villiers household that allows you to go and play golf twice a weekend.
The key is putting it in the diary early on. So Monday I'm already saying what are the weekend plans, and is it okay if I take George to stay with my mom for a bit while I go play Victoria Country Club? So it's being solutions driven.
That's 100% okay. That's I guess that is it. That's the secret. I've got to put myself in a position where I'm taking control of the situation.
Yeah, and you like, I'm happy to play on the weekend as long as like part of that weekend involves a bit of golf.
Oh, brilliant.
Awesome, Tucky. Well, I really enjoyed this, and I'm super, super stoked that you're part of the Go Track crew, and awesome to get to know you a bit better. I mean, certainly a lot in there that I didn't know. And we will obviously hear you a lot more.
Thanks, JDV. I really appreciate it. And the Go Track is going to grow from strength to strength.
Yeah.